All right, we're in Monday's qualifying round, practice, aka practice round in the coast to coast tournament. I'm in my 99 account, so I've got my T4 clubs here. So I may or may not qualify today. It depends. I'm gonna start off. We'll just see how it goes. I usually try and just qualify this one on Monday and knock it out, so I don't have to mess around with it. Plus, I have a limited selection of balls here. So let's go check it out. So normally, here's the deal. We're all playing a game, and games are all about trying to have fun, stepping away from the real world. But the real world is coming up and smacking us in the face. Here in the United States, we have now reached 1 million people who have COVID, the coronavirus, and that number is not going down. We actually had a 3-day spike, and we've got a bunch of states that are opening up. We saw massive people. California opened up a couple beaches. Georgia opened up. They're opening up. They're pretty much opening up their whole deal today. I think they're opening up restaurants and movie theaters, and they opened up stuff. And those states are still having numbers that are going up. And I'm absolutely like, have we not learned anything at all? And we haven't, because the word from on high is that it's still not a big deal. We only have 56,000 deaths. It could have been 100,000. Now 56,000 Americans dead. That is a tragedy for something that we could have. I'm mystified. I'm sick to my stomach. I'm actually completely bummed out about the whole deal. I normally don't watch the news at all. If something really bad happens, my mom will call me and tell me, hey, just be prepared, or know that this happened today. So if people seem off, but like really kind of like looking at the deal, trying to find out the truth of the matter. And it's amazing. It's absolutely, it's amazing how we've got to this point, and we're still not getting it right. And if we open stuff up preemptively and then we have to shut it back down, it's only going to make the problem worse. So I just hope that all of you are being safe out there. I wearing masks, wearing gloves, staying at home. We're off work, and that's just where it's at. I'm speechless about how we've gotten to this point. But we all need to be safe. We don't want, especially friends and that we have in this game, we want to make sure that everybody stays safe. So let's try and have some fun, but let's stay safe at the same time, and not get. I'm just blown away. I'm blown away by the stuff, and what really blows me away is the spikes that we've had over the last 3 days. It takes 7 to 10 days for this to. We have people that are walking around that are asymptomatic, that don't show any symptoms at all, that are carriers. And I'm just curious to see like where we are 7 to 10 days from now with what's happened with some of the states. And some states haven't done anything at all. We have 6 states in the United States that have done nothing at all. They've done no restrictions, no stay at home, none of that stuff. And all 6 of those states, there's 2 of them, Wyoming and Montana, are pretty rural, and their numbers are still low. But the other states, when we talk about Nebraska and Arkansas, their numbers have gone up. Oregon has been, we've been at home forever now, and it's not going to get any better. Our governor's come out and said until we have 10 days where we don't have any new cases, she's not lifting the rules, which irritates some people. But if you look at the overall numbers, I mean, we only have 137,000 people plus the 56. So what's that? 193.6 and some change who have either recovered or died from it. So we still have a bunch of people, over 800,000 people, that are still suffering from the coronavirus. And so those numbers are going to, if you do the math, we're getting over, right at averaging, even though we had a spike here the last 3 days, we're getting about 30,000 new cases a day, which means that we're basically looking at 1,500 additional dead Americans every day. And it doesn't take very many days for those numbers to start to add up. And we just need to suck it up. We're going to just have to stop and work this out. And hopefully everybody can, we're all on the same boat. So we just need to help each other out, and let's just continue to stop and not jump the gun. All right, let's get back to the golf class here. I'm just, it totally just blows me away. It bums me out. I mean, we should be doing these things for fun, and we've got stuff going on around us, and that's just absolutely off the charts. All right, hole number one. Hole number one. What are we on? Hole number one. Juniper Point. Juniper Point. Hole number two. Juniper Point. Hole number two. All right, I'm trying that. I'm trying the low shot, staying at the bottom of the hill. I know that you can use that hill and you can get up there, but I'm still working the lower shot. And where I've gotten on that is, let's take a navigator. I'm going to do 3 backspin, 1 1/4, maybe 1 1/2 right-hand side spin. And I'm doing a 10% wind adjustment. I may change how I'm working on this shot, and I'll tell you why. I came into the week and I really want to, you can see where my grid line is here, where it's on that. It's going right down the flagpole. It's going right down the flagpole here. So my center line here, and that's where this hill kind of terminates. That's kind of where it is. The hill runs a little bit like this, but it kind of terminates right along that line. The wind that we're getting is running like this. And so where I've been setting up is about 3 miles per hour, 3 rings on my Grizzly, which is 1 mile per hour per ring. So with a Grim Reaper or a Saturn, I've been kind of in that same thing, where with the Saturn, it's been about 1.5 rings. So it's still about 3 miles per hour off of this transitional surface. The problem is, unless you use a really big wind ball, when you're pulling the wind out, you're engaging the sand right here and it's distorting the rings. So I may switch up. And the reason I'm doing this shot right here is because they've changed this hole so many times. The shots that I used to do on this are all gone because the hole's been reconfigured. And so I have to pick a new spot. And this spot down here, while I like it, and in practice, I was able to work this shot out and sank quite a few hole-in-ones. With the way that the wind's blowing and the way you have to pull the wind out, I may pick a different spot that's further out in this direction so that when I adjust the wind out, I don't have to engage the sand at all. And that's probably what I'm going to do here with this account. I'm going to set up probably maybe a full ring set off of this and then see where it goes. But I'm just working this shot with the clubs that I have to see like if I can find an area out there that I like. In the past, I've tried to wedge myself where I'm way up in here because the hole was different and the sand was different. And by getting up into this area, you could go straight at it. But with the way that the hole is right now, it was too much. I have to put too much backspin on it here, and we're not getting any roll forward. So I'm still working this hole. I'm working a hole for the way that my clubs are. And I really think on these par threes that there's an infinite amount of spots that you can pick out there, and each one of them may have its benefits or non-benefits. So I'm going to take a Saturn and a nav, and we'll just see what the deal is. But I know I am going to do a 10% wind adjustment. And we will see. We shall see. The thing is if you hit this shot down here where you're going straight out the cup and you're trying to avoid that hill, if you hit anything great to the left, you're going to go great to the left because you're on the flat down there. You won't get caught up in the bowl. Whereas if you use the hill coming down, you're almost always guaranteed, unless you really blow. I mean, if you set the shot up in any real way, you're probably going to end up less than 2 yards off. Whereas if you're trying to stay on the bottom down there and you hit it great to the left, you could easily be 4 yards off and you'll lose a lot of shootouts. So if you're playing one-on-one, you definitely want to engage the hill. You see how it kind of funnels and then it'll just kind of drift around there. We shall see. And be 3 rings off. What would it be if I was 3 rings off with my white ring up against the rough? And just kind of walking it down to the hole. Get a little teeny bit more backspin. Need to get where I can see what the heck I'm doing. It's 3.9, 10% would be 4.4. There's 4.4. Probably won't get it off. And I will. Isn't it perfect? Just a bit outside. Just a bit outside. That's the thing. If you have multiple accounts with different level clubs in them, on some of these holes, you may have to develop multiple ways to come at it depending on the clubs that you have. And I like that shot going straight out the hole. I like it a lot. But the way that the wind's blowing right now, unless you want to bring out a low wind ball, I really don't like having to adjust through that sand trap like that. Because when the rings get distorted, it's hard to and sometimes when you're in there, on this one it's not as bad, but sometimes when you cross that lip on a sand trap, it'll drop and it'll throw your adjustment off. And no, you don't always have to push it back in. It just depends on the sand trap. This sand trap's not too bad. I will forfeit. Max, I'm gonna forfeit. I will forfeit. That par 3 right there, I'm gonna work on that hole today when I get done playing. I'm gonna spend a little bit of time doing some research and talking to my teammates about that hole, because that's a hole right there that I've always considered to be a low percentage par 3, and I want to see if there's any way I can make that a higher percentage par 3, or if it's possible. I've hit some hole-in-ones on it, but it's one of those holes that's inconsistent. So we're going to Juniper Point hole number 6. And I'm not really going to mess around. The way to go at this, in my opinion, is to take the high percentage shot, lay up, short iron into the hole. It is possible to wrap yourself around those trees and get way up there by the green, but I just find that that's very inconsistent, and I'm not interested in going through that gap with a bunch of overpower. So the people that I've seen that have gotten way up there have done overpower to do it, and I'm not a fan of the big overpower to get through that narrow gap. And that gap is not quite as narrow. The gap itself, as far as fairway, is just as narrow as it was when the hole came out, but they have cleared the trees a little bit, and the gap is not quite as small as it used to be. I really want to bring a low wind ball, but I'm going to bring Titans because I have them. And the goal is to go quarterback Kingfisher. I'm trying to get into my minimum Kingfisher. A minimum Kingfisher is 2.4, so it hits 1.2, 2.1, 2.4 is how I play it. It's 75% more accurate when it's in mid club, and it's 100% more accurate when it's in minimum club. And I'm going to go right down through the center of that. I got a 3.5 mile an hour wind, and I want to remember that. So it's 3.5 miles per hour. I'm going to take the wind out, and then I'm going to put the power back in. And I'm going to remember that 3.5. I'm going to write it down my notes. hitting it perfect, and see how close I can get to that sand down there, whether that puts me in the sand or if it puts me where I'd like to be, because I'm going to, so if I had any wind that was lower than 3.5, I could leave it all in. If I have any wind that was higher than 3.5, so we get on there and we got a 4.5 wind, I would take out 1 mile per hour of wind and leave 3.5 in to get me the extra distance so I don't have to do overpower. That's one way to do it. The other way to do it is to take all of the wind out and then put on a little bit of overpower. And you can put on just enough overpower like my opponent is, where you're not making the needle go any faster. So there's several different ways that you could do it there. They'll still have a shot from there. Let's see where I'm at in my club. Okay, there's min. So I'm right at minimum club. It's 2.4 per ring. A little bit of backspin on it. Eke myself up just so that I can get into the area. It's 2.4 per ring. So there's 2.4. That leaves me 1.6. It's about 2/3. Right around that area. Oh, anticipation. One of these days I'll be able to hit perfect again. It's not going to be anytime soon, I don't think. But hopefully one of these days I will be able to find my perfect rhythm again. I'm going to bring my calculator out so that when I get that kind of wind, when I'm dealing with those types of winds, sometimes my brain's not working. The deal is if you have lower developed clubs, you really, really need to, like this is a hole right here that lower developed clubs, upper developed clubs, we have a serious chance of getting an eagle here. This is a hole that we really need to be getting eagles on. Come weekend round, this is like if you got a lower developed account, we talk about low hanging fruit. This hole right here is probably the lowest hanging fruit in the tournament. There is one of the par threes, the last par three, that's pretty low hanging fruit too. But that hole, we're getting a different wind. The last two times that hole's been in a tournament, we were getting a tail crosswind going from the right to the left. And now we're getting a headwind coming from the left going to the right. So it's affecting that as far as like how much topspin we need to put on it. There's several of these holes we're getting wind that's different than we've gotten in the past. All right, that was hole 2. Hole 3. Now this hole right here, hole number 3, City Park. City Park, hole number 3. I was talking to Dale Appleby earlier, and we were going through some of the clubs, talking about like if you're in the club card trading, once you get your rares to level 8, there's only a few rares that are actually worth getting to level 9. Extra mile, big dog's definitely worth getting to extra 9. Extra mile for sure. Extra mile is probably the number 1 rare that you want to get to level 9. It got the best stuff. Big dog, if you get your Hornet to level 9, it does get that 100% accuracy. But the rest of the holes, or the rest of the clubs, a lot of those rares, what they get at level 9 is very minimal. It's better at that point to start investing into your epics if you're in the club card trading. All right, with a lower level account. Here's the thing. With my upper developed account, if you have, and I don't have a Nirvana, and I don't have an Amazon. If you had an Amazon or a Nirvana and you hit down here in the rough, there's not really any downside. Actually, in my opinion, I find that if you're in this area, even if you're only halfway through the rough, your opportunity to get past the downward slope that's around this mound, this fairway bunker, it's really easy to get up into this area from the rough. Whereas if you hit from up here and you end up overshooting and ending up in the rough or the sand, you're pretty much relegated to hitting here or taking a very risky shot trying to deal with this drop. If you lay up at the top, depending on what ball and club you bring, you may have a hard time getting to the other side of this. And you really want to get far enough in front of that that you can get on the flat, which is like right about there. And you may have a hard time getting there. But with a lower developed account, I don't have the recovery clubs. All I have is my rough iron is basically a short iron. And so if you're in here and you're using a long iron, you can get right there. Well, your short iron distance is going to be right here. So it would be very bad for this account to end up in the rough down here because I'll have a difficult time getting up into this spot. So, and I've got an extra mile 7, which the difference between a 6 and a 7, it doesn't gain any topspin and it doesn't gain any raw power. And even with a 5 power ball, and today earlier we only had like a 3.6 mile an hour wind. And so it's going to be very unlikely that I could get over. So with this account, my best bet is to lay up and then try and get myself as deep up into this hole as I can to try and get myself in a short iron range to give me at least a look for eagle, because this is a birdie hole with an eagle opportunity. Now, if you've got a bigger club and you can get out into this area, now you're in business, because you can bring your big dog and you can get up into. Where do you need to get up into? Anywhere on the green. Then you have at least a shot at it. It's a very unlikely Albie shot, but you can get eagle. And that's the key on this hole, is to try and get eagle. Most par 5s in Golf Clash are eagle holes with an Albie opportunity. And this hole is birdie with an eagle opportunity. There are going to be a lot of people that end up with a par here. So you definitely want to make sure that you secure your birdie, but give yourself a shot at eagle. And here's how I'm going to do it. I'm just going to lay it up. I'm going to bring a big dog as my secondary club. Now, if I can get far enough up in there and I bring a big enough ball, my hammerhead might work. I'm going to bring a QB. Now let's compare my big dog to my hammerhead. So the hammerhead hits 10 yards less and has a whole lot less topspin, but it's got better ball guide. But I think a big dog will be the way to go. I'm going to bring a Titan, the king of balls. How many of those snow globes I got? I got 2. I could play this hole during the weekend round with a snow globe. Ideally, if you bring a 5 power ball here, you want to bring one that's got as either one wind, no wind, like those snow globes. The snow globes are no wind. And you want to leave as much wind in as possible if you're trying to get all the way over. All right, I think that's... If I get up into that area, my 2 choices, my 3 choices here, 3.4, 3.4, B52, 3.6. What I don't like about the B52 in this case is that I don't have a lot of topspin, backspin options to kind of guide me. I think that what it has is probably okay, but I'm going to stick with my Saturn just because I think as a utility club, depending on where I end up out there, it does give me some good options, and it's at 2 miles per hour for ring, so it's a pretty easy club to make ring adjustments. Let me think here. Big dog. All right, let's get at it. We'll see how far we can get up in that zone. You want to get as far up there as you can, but you don't want to press the limits. You do not want to end up in the sand up there at the top, especially if you have low developed clubs. All right, here we go. Let's see where that puts me. Let's see what that looks like down there on the end. Whew. Might be a little too much. I'm going to do 3. I'm going to do 3 topspin and we'll see where that puts me. I want to be right dead center in the middle of that fairway. 4-4. little shy of 4.5 rings. 100% accurate club, 1 per ring. Hitting it perfect. Woo! That was. Hold on, I got to give myself a precardial thump. Oh gosh, my heart almost quit beating. So I would say 3 tops going to be about the max. Maybe 2.5. I like the fact that I'm in the fairway and I'm that close, but I don't like the fact that I'm that close. I mean, you want to get close down there, but anything goes wrong, your fault, my fault, nobody's fault. I'm in the rough, and you do not want to end up in the rough down there. It's not that you can't recover from it. You can lay up on the other side where you would if you came with a 5 power ball, and I got a big dog in my bag, so I can get up. But we're trying to give ourselves an opportunity for eagle here. And I'm going to get super greedy. I'm going to see how far up that chute I can go. It's 2.5 per ring. It's about a ring and a fifth. Let's try and hit it perfect. Hit it great to the right. We'll see if that ends me up in the rough. Yes, sir. Oh, in the sand. There we go. Even better. I was getting really greedy there, and everything drops to the left. So being a little bit more to the right wouldn't have saved me from the fact that I hit that great to the right or great to the left, but everything does drop to the left there. So when you go into that opening, everything's wanting to go to the left. Opponent's getting down there, hitting the rough, running forward. I'll have a long iron from there. Where's my max? There's max. Malibu is 2 per ring, so there's max. Max, there's mid. Yeah, somewhere in the mid. So I'm in a mid range. So I'm going to do maybe 4 per ring. Where we're at. I'm going to just do a 1 ring pull. And that feels like it's, I'm going to do 3/4 of a ring. Feels like I'm more towards mid. Hit it 2 rings straight to the right. Distance was good. Trajectory was off. One of the things about shooting the videos and talking while I'm doing it is I hardly ever give myself enough time. Sometimes I do, especially when we already know like how much backspin, topspin, and we're just setting the shot up, and then you can get like 10 seconds to let the needle go back and forth and stabilize. Sometimes the needle gets a little joggy when it first starts going. See if they can get in the hole. Get in the hole. Close. Now, getting a birdie on this hole in this account is not, we're striving for eagle, but this is definitely a birdie hole. This is why, when we talk about minimum score on most holes in Golf Clash is -12, but because of this hole right here, it's -11 as the minimum score. We want to strive to get that -12. And striving to get the -12 is not that, hey, I got the hole in one on this hole and I got -12. -12 means getting the eagle on this hole. That other hole that you got the hole in one on, you really want to be counting that as what it took to get to minus 13 or what it took to get to minus 14 and picking those shots up. It's just going to be very difficult with lower level stuff to get an eagle on that, even if you have power 5 balls. I will forfeit. But hopefully we can pick something up, because I think anything that you can get above minus 11 is going to, I think to win, it's not going to be as bad as it's been the last 3 or 4 tournaments where you've got to get a minus 30 to have really any legitimate shot at a win, even though you could win with a minus 28. I think in this tournament, if you shoot a minus 28, it's like shooting a 30 in the last tournaments. If you shoot a minus 26, depending on your bracket, you could end up winning. So it could be that close. I think in this account, I'd really like to see, we talk about the difference between minus 22 and minus 28. That's 6 shots. That's picking up 3 on a side. They're out there. They're out there to pick up. In this account, I'm really shooting for the 26 to 28. That's where I'm really like my goal, my target. Hole number 4, City Park. Hole number 5. And this is a hole right here that definitely gives some opportunities to pick up an eagle. I'm going to, because of the way, I can't remember which way the wind was blowing here, but my goal is to get out into 1 bounce, 2nd bounce, ending up somewhere out in this area. I don't want to go too far forward because I want to leave the mouth open, so I want to kind of stay within that range. What I'm finding here is that I brought out a katana earlier in my 77 account where I was at in short iron. Here's max, here's mid, here's min. I was right dead center. When I bring out a kingmaker, I end up right dead center. So instead of using my max number or my mid number, you got to work out a number that's in between. Or you use your mid number or your max number and you start making elevation adjustments. You start adding on or taking off wind. And so you have to work that out for your clubs. So let's think about how I would work that out for my club. If I'm in my short iron range, I'm going to be with the Kingfisher. It's 1.2 at max, 2.1 at mid. So we'll have to see how it plays out on the course. I'm going to try and get one video so that I can go through and do the reverse math. My goal right here, my sole goal right here, is to try and hit perfect into the cup, because then I can go back and do reverse math on it and figure out like what I should have did. So I'm going to take a QB and a Kingfisher, and that should be all I need. I'm going to bring a katana. I want that 3 side spin for the drive. I'm going to bring a sniper just in case. Let's open up that pin chest. Or not pin chest, but free chest. Off we roll. Hole number 4. If you've been watching my videos for the last few tournaments, you're like, dude, do you ever hit perfect? And I'm asking the same question. Like, I have no idea where my perfect timing went. I was on a run. I won a tournament. I came in second. I didn't make it a weekend round. Then I won 2 tournaments in a row. And then I think I came in second. Am I even going to be able to get up there with that club? Hell no. Hell no. Let's take that. Man, I really don't like doing this with an extra mile. I can tell you that right now. Okay, 4-4. It's 2.1 per ring. So 2 rings is 4-2. I'm going to be fine with 4-2. Then I'm going to lean just a little and hope that I don't hit it great to the right. Hitting it perfect. The deal is with a quarterback and you hit it great to the right, it's not a big deal. But with an extra mile, you hit it great to the right. That's 2.1 miles per hour great to the right. and you'll very easily end up clipping or into that tree. That's the thing about using an extra mile is it's not, I don't have a problem like moving wind out or adjusting for wind. Even if the club was 3 miles per hour per ring and it was 0 accurate, moving out 3 miles per hour is not a problem. The problem is when you hit the ball great to the left or the right and you've got a club that's not very accurate. Let's see if my opponent can get up there. I'll be real quiet for him. They got the little please be quiet signs out. Hitting it perfect. Bam, clip the tree. No. Nicely done. That's a good spot right there. You can see it. They got a wide open, straight in shot to the green. They don't have to worry about the fringe or any of that. Let's see where I'm at in my club. Okay, there's max. There's min. So right about there is mid. So I'm close to mid. Mid's 2.1 per ring. .1 per ring. I'm going to do 3-3. I'm going to do a 10%, and I don't know why. 3-3. There's 2-1. It's 3-2. I'm going to just do a ring and a half. Oh. That's funny. I thought I had enough time. I could see it flashing up there, but I never look at it. Funny. Now I have to make it. Now I have to make it. Otherwise, today might be a practice day. It might be. How come you practiced on Monday? Well, I didn't hit perfect on hole number 1. And I timed out on hole number 4. Questions? At least you got yours off. At least I know where I'm at in my club now. 3.9. It's 3.9. That'd be 4.3. That'd be 4.2. Would be 2 rings. I'm gonna just do a 2-ring pull. I'm a little on the right hand side of the cup. Oh, that looked perfect to me. Close. Close to the cigar. It would have been really close whether a perfect would have went in. I think it would have been right on the other edge of the cup, and I had a little too much speed right there, and it might have rolled over. If it would have been right dead center, it would have hit the flagpole, and I think it would have went in. But where I was at, how close I was on the left-hand side there with that miss, I think it would have rolled over the hole. I can't remember in the past whether I've done any wind adjustment on that hole. It doesn't. It seems like sometimes we have and sometimes we haven't. But from that shot right there, I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I would have liked to have seen what that did on a perfect shot just to see. But it looks like I'm practicing today. I guess I get to play this account again. Hole number 5. How much time we got on this video? I'm having to break the videos into 2 parts because you can only shoot. When all this stuff first came out, it was all based on 32 32-bit technology, and so you can only record 4 gigs. And so 4 gigs at the resolution I'm doing is about 56 minutes. So that's about as much as you can get. What hole are we on? We're on hole number 5. Hole number 5. What is hole number 5? Hole number 5 is the par 3 City Park hole number 1. And this hole right here, I still haven't figured out how I'm going to play it. I'm going to bring my Saturn. Typically on holes like this, my thought process is get close to the hole with a backspin club, give it your old college try. There are a bunch of different ways that you can come at this hole. I'm not a fan of including anything that's off of the green, I can tell you that. But there's nothing flat here except for an area right here. And it's hard to get up to the cup from there. So I'm going to take a, let me think. I'll put thinking cap line. What did I take in my main account? Take a Saturn and a Navigator. I think I'm okay with that. My Saturn here doesn't have quite as much backspin, but it has enough. Let's see what I have in my B52. No backspin. Grim Reaper at this level. It has some. Little teeny bit more accurate. But the ball guide's not quite as good. Grim Reaper hasn't fully developed. And we'll try it with a Saturn and a Nav. And I have no idea. I'm gonna wing it just like I do when I'm playing one-on-one sometimes on these holes. I haven't caught this hole enough to actually establish how I want to do it. And this is of all the holes that are in this tournament, this is the hole right here I'm going to be working on this week. I'm going to talk to my teammates and talk to some of my buddies and get some ideas on how other people are playing it. Just to see if there's something I'm missing here. So in the past, I've rode right along this ridge right here. I'm going to go right at it. 3-3. And definitely seems like, man, doesn't that seem like it's uphill? I'm going to do just a 3-3 here. So there's 3-3. A little over a ring and a half. Hitting it perfect. Maybe a little bit of an adjustment. Yeah, I wasn't able to get all the way down into my ring set. So what that tells me is that it's downhill. If you're not able to get up to your ring set, because the closer you can zoom to your ring set, like so when you're on some of those holes and you can't get close to it at all, that tells you it's way the heck downhill. So you're going to have to add on some wind. But when you're looking at it from the tee box, it doesn't look like it's that far downhill, but that was as close as I could get to my ring set. So it might have been just a little, I may have needed to do just a little bit of an overpull on it. Most people that I see that are coming here that are getting hole-in-ones, they're engaging that hill over there and rolling it back down to the cup. I think there was one tournament where this hole was in that, and I was doing a full backspin shot using that hill. There's a spot that I was hitting and then bringing it back down to the cup. I think that when I did the walkthrough, I think the video that I posted, that was the shot. I was doing that backspin shot, getting up there to it. I've done the shot from down below, trying to bounce it up. I've just found that every single thing you do here is like inconsistent. You can get hole-in-ones here, but it just doesn't seem like it's one of those holes that, at least for my game, it just doesn't seem like it's one of those holes that lends itself to getting hole-in-one on a regular basis. This hole, however, is a different story. In this hole, I'm going to have to adjust my normal setup because we're getting the same exact wind that we're getting right here from that angle. And so normally I put on 1 and a titch. I mean, just like maybe a sliver of topspin. But because we're getting headwind, I'm going to have to add on a little bit of topspin just to get me up to the cup. And so earlier today, I was on that hole and I played it like I normally do with 1 and a titch, and was a little short of the cup. And so when I get to that hole in this round, I'm going to do I'm gonna do an over. I'm gonna do like 1 3/4 of a ring of a bar of topspin, and try and be over so that I know that my range is somewhere between 1/4 and 3/4. But I want to try and set that range. All right, so we're on hole number 6. How much time we got? I'm going to go ahead and stop this video, and then I'll fire up another one. That way we won't have any time issues while we're going through it. So I will see you on the next one. Thanks for watching.